Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for Soul Sunday. For those of you who are not regular viewers, or for those of you who are not quite sure how this goes down, we at DearMamaSal are a group of people who get together 3 times a week with the sole purpose of learning how to cope better with our lives. And we do that to a great extent by talking about what's going on in our lives and getting input on things that we can do. Hi, Jeannie, good to see you. And so to me, one of the things that is so rewarding is the fact that we all have good days and bad days, and we all help each other cope just by being there for one another when these things happen. Jeannie, I just wonder, how's the demolition going? For those of you who don't know, Jeannie's house unfortunately burnt down a couple of months ago, and now this week the house is going to be totally demolished, and then the rebuild starts. So it's like, time to grow. But can you imagine if you left your house one day and it burnt down? And she lost almost everything in it as well. So we've been very proud of our Jeannie. Big hug and lots of love to you, and how well you and York have handled all of this. I'm quite sure that a lot of us are in awe of how calm you seem to have kept through it all. Um, Soul Sunday is really a coping mechanism, if you like, focusing on being a human being rather than a human doing. And today, our topic is going to be coping with stress by giving more kindness and also learning how to receive more kindness. And our topic on Friday evening, Friday lunchtime, we do a broadcast on feelings, and we were doing a broadcast about resentment. And then, so today we look at the opposite of that, which should be kindness. And we are all in need of a great deal of kindness at the moment. Okay, Jeannie's just updating us. She said she went over to the house today and there was little done in the back. There was a little done in the back. Yeah, hopefully tomorrow a bit more. But hi, Samantha, and thank you so much for your kind donation. It all helps pay the bills. Thank you. You have no idea how appreciative I am. But it's interesting, isn't it, that one of the things that we forget is that the kindness that we give to others, do we give ourselves the same amount? So we will be doing a meditation, of course, a little bit later, and we will be focusing on both sides of that. Those that, have been kind to you and those to whom you will be kind, even more so. Our wonderful administrator, Jody, has put together some truly beautiful quotes about kindness. So I'm going to read them in between. Hi there, Sandy, good to see you. Kindness is a passport that opens doors and fashions friends. It softens hearts and molds relationships that can last a lifetime. And I'm pretty sure that some of you feel that you have had the pleasure of forging and making relationships here that you hope will last a lifetime. And some will and some won't, from my experience, and that is fine. I'm a great believer that we meet the people we're meant to meet when we need to meet them, and some will just peel away and get on with their lives, and others will, stay with us for quite a while, we'll circle together, and some will stay in that orbit forever. So feel free to participate if you're watching this right now in the shadows, as I like to call it. And don't feel that you have to join in the group. But if you'd like to, just please remember that if I see a comment up there, I will probably address it. And therefore, if you'd like me not to, then just put a note there to say, Sal, don't talk about this. And therefore, I might choose just to say a viewer once said or something, and I will talk about the subject just in case you need a bit of a help with that. The the chat comes down after the broadcast, normally within the hour, but sometimes I clean forget. It's on my checklist, but so have you ever noticed that with the checklist people? You've got a checklist and you're going, how did I miss that on my checklist? I'm a human being and I'm occasionally not doing the right things. Today, what I want to do is just give you a little experiment before we get on and do the meditation and all the rest of it. But here's a little experiment. So just be aware of what your bodily and mental reactions are when you hear these words. Do you think you could do that for me? And it's really important that you feel what happens inside your body and what your reaction is, if any. Like, did you sort of go like this inside, sort of, not as dramatically, obviously, but what did you feel and what did your mind show you? How about when somebody says, you lied? Or, I hate you? Or, you don't exist in my world anymore? Or how about, you are useless, a total waste of skin? So my question to you is, what did you feel when you heard those words? Did you feel some level of stress? If so, let me have some feedback on it. Maybe some level of anger, any resentment feelings, and any fears. Was it frightening to you in any way? And the reason I really want to discuss it is because I want you to feel what most people are dealing with on a daily basis. It's true, isn't it? How many people did you find, talk to you in those terms most of your life? And so part of our process of becoming human beings rather than human doings is to actually let some of those tapes fall away. Yes, and Jeannie's saying, I feel sorry for that person, just so unhappy that they have to lash out at others. It's not any so unhappy, but maybe they just never got taught anything different. Yes, Jeannie's saying, I used to take it hard, but now I've learned. Well done. And that's when you build that mental barrier that's called emotional intelligence, where you just don't get sucked in with these things. It's just their opinion. Doesn't make it true, does it? And here's a beautiful quote, and it says, do things for people, not because of who they are or what they might do in return. Do it because of who you are. And that is one of the things that I try and say to myself, when haters come on or whatever, I try to remember, as Jeannie said, that, I don't know what they've been through in their lives, or maybe what they've been through today, or who taught them that, being nasty to people is a one-upmanship thing or something. I don't know what they've been taught, but I do know that it is up to me to remain who I am, regardless of what the haters are saying. And so, it's quite often that somebody will make a really nasty comment on on a video or something, and I take the time for every hater to write back to them and say, thank you for taking the time to make a comment. And it's amazing. Every now and then, it's happened a number of times, the hater will come back to me and said, I can't believe how polite you were considering what I said. And then I'll just write back and said, I just, in my mind, imagined that you were having a bad day. And it's amazing how many of them said, actually, I was, and I want to apologize. And I said, it's my pleasure, honey. No problem. Jody is saying, hearing, you don't exist in my world, you're useless. It's especially hard for me. Being accused of lying, perhaps you can prove if it's not true. But the other phrase is, you cannot change necessarily. Yeah. When somebody accuses me of something that I know not to be true, one of the things I've learned to say to them is, if you'd like my input on that, let me know. And the reason that I say it that way is most people don't want to have their opinion changed. Have you noticed that? They want to remain right. Ginny's saying, I purchased baby clothes for Lucille. I was happy to do it, but wanted the mother to thank me, and then thought, no, I just wanted to do it. There you go. That is the difference. You see, if you do it so that you'll get a thank you, then you will be in resentment when you don't get it. Well done, Jeannie. You are taking huge strides. By the way, for those of you who know the regular group, just be aware that, as we were saying earlier in the week, that this is the week that Erin's daddy died a year ago. So if you are in contact with her, please make sure you give her extra hugs this week. And for, Jeannie, keep us informed, please, of the demolition progress. And by the way, is it on the 22nd, right, that Misty's having her procedure, Misty being her Jeannie's dog? Samantha is saying, I practice the art of destroying walls with kindness always. It's an art. I have yet to teach my children, but I digress. Yeah, it's true, isn't it, that we need to just be aware that maybe the art of practicing destroying walls, it's a pretty violent way to do it, isn't it, Sam? You know that. But what I love about it is you can laugh about it. Now, hang on a second. Take a deep breath. Let's hear some other words. Let's see how it goes. Are you ready? You are a superstar. Thank you so much. Ah, how kind of you. Wow, I never saw it that way before. Thank you. So how did you feel this time? Did you feel different in your body? Did you feel different in your mind? Did any of you sort of smile? What was your reaction? Let me know. And if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to add the comments below. So my question is, did you feel good? Do you love to hear those sort of things? Did you feel appreciated? Did you feel important? And if we can remember that that's how we feel when we hear those words, then we know it's really important that we give those words to other people who are important to us. By the way, if you do have a subject about which you'd like me to speak, feel free to write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com, and I will do my best to add it to our list. Jody's saying, yes, I smiled. It's lovely to hear positive reinforcement. But how about this one? Do you like to hear it even if it's not true? Now, the reason I say that is I have somebody in my life that I'm pretty sure studied a certain person, and I won't say who it is because I don't want to disparage anything. But, and it's just like, every time I did a particular thing, he would give me the same compliment every time, which told me that human nature says that's not realistic. That means he just automatically says this as a reinforcement to people. And I learned to ask him extra questions and, watch him struggle to come up with the answers, because to me, yes, Jody's saying only if it's authentic. Otherwise, it's empty and patronizing, or patronizing, depending which country you live in. So coping with our minds is something we all do every day. And every day we wake up and we decide, what will my day be like today? And if we have emotional intelligence,
there'll be very little that can move us off that place we wake up in. How many of you are noticing you're getting stronger at not letting the winds blow you around as much as you used to? Have any of you found that? I hope. And then Jodi's next quote is just wonderful. It says, be somebody who makes everybody feel like somebody. And that doesn't mean you have to be patronizing. What you need to be is honest about what you appreciate in that person. And if you think pretty hard, everybody has something in them that you can appreciate. And if you're sort of trying to cope with limited funds, and we did an awesome broadcast about how we're doing a series on how to cook with less money on Friday evening, and we were talking bento boxes. And one of the things that I knew is that automatically some people's minds would go to, but I can't afford to get a bento box, da 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 da. And I had such fun coming up with what I hoped were creative ideas on what you can do if you haven't got a bento box or if you can't afford one. And so to me, that was my act of kindness, if you like, and says, hey, you can still do this. You can be creative and you can still do this. And by the way, I was surprised how many different ways I came up with. And just, I was sort of going around my kitchen going, what else would make a bento box type situation? And so one of the things I really believe is that it's an awesome idea to get that creative. And we're going to be doing more of that. Oh, Jeannie's also saying, I also like filling a jar with a meal. Yes, I do. On that broadcast, what I do are these sort of meal prepping in a mason jar, ready for my week. And it is amazing, isn't it? And I want to tell you, for those of you who were cooking with me on Friday or watching me do that on Friday, I had some of those roasted vegetables, and I put in a couple of dollops of cream cheese and mixed it all around, and a little bit of black pepper on top. And I want to tell you, it was awesome. Now, I don't know if any of you have been watching the Facebook page, and if those of you who are new to the broadcast, please remember to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And Facebook, I use like a sort of notice board where I let you know updates on people that might need thoughts and prayers or exciting things that have happened for people. So we put those all up on the DearMamaSal Facebook page. But just recently, I've been doing one step at a time on there for my viewers, which is a box arrived, a big box. And I am I have learned this new way of being that keeps me from being overwhelmed. And it's called, I only have to do one step at a time. And so the first day I sent a picture of the box, because I had to put it on my deck. And that's where it is, my covered deck, in case it rains, because we're expecting rain. By the way, the air quality is so much better today. And then the second day, I opened the box. And then today, I emptied the box. And when I emptied the box, I found all the instructions, that's what I'm going to be building. And I don't know if any of you are going, but you see, just doing one step at a time. And I'm thinking the next thing I will do is try and build the base unit. Or part of it, maybe. We'll see how it goes. If it all goes well, the next picture you'll get is the whole of the top of that thing. And then the last thing will be to put the legs on and put it where it needs to go. But, it's quite exciting. But, if I only have to do one step at a time, it's amazing. It doesn't take a whole lot of time to do. Yeah, Jodi's saying that's great. Looking forward to seeing it. Well, I'm looking forward to using it. And the reason is because under our slogan of be prepared and not scared, I'm being prepared for an awful lot of leaves are going to come down pretty soon. And I've got different containers into which I am going to be putting those leaves. But then also some of them I'm going to be putting into compost. And what I've noticed with the composter that I've got is just a regular straight one. And I don't have the strength anymore to get in there and dig that compost and aerate it properly. And so what I thought was, I've got to make a different plan. And the plan is if I have one that rotates, I have the strength, hopefully, to be able to rotate rather than dig. So we'll see how it goes. And by the way, how many of you know, all right, that I have recently moved away from doing the broadcast where I used to because the seating there was really bad for me. And what I've done is I've been kinder to myself. And I'm now sitting on a ball chair. Which creates movement, but also forces me to sit more in a balanced way. My feet are solid on the ground, which they certainly weren't before. Hi, Kimmy, good to see you. And basically, much better for my posture. And how many of you know that we spend so much time on the computer? And how do we sit? We sit with hunched over, typing away, or we're on our phones like this, And so part of what I'm trying to do is to not end up with a huge hop back of Notre Dame on my back, right? And so what I'm doing is trying to stretch these shoulder muscles back. And by the way, here's an exercise I recommend that you do. I've been doing it at night when I go to bed. And when I go to bed, I lie on my back. And I know this is going to sound really weird, but I physically move my shoulders back, just back. And, it's amazing how far back they go when, which means that my natural posture is like this when I really, work at pushing it back. And some of you know, I've got that balance dome that I use, which is building up my core strength. Because that's what gives you balance, right? The muscles that are your core muscles are what give you balance. And I have, over the past couple of years, lost a lot of those muscles. They've atrophied because if you don't use it, you lose it. And so one step at a time, literally standing on the dome and getting off it and everything, all helping my balance. Jody found this one. Kindness is seeing the best in others when they cannot see it in themselves. Now, I'm pretty sure that you will all have had examples of that we have done that for other people. I'm just going to shift back on my chair a little bit. Because every now and then I like to move back a bit. Now I've got, the chair has a back on it. So now I can actually, if I need to, support my back. And so I would say that one of the things that we have noticed is that over the years of doing Dear Mama Sal, we have supported various people. And what we have done is to help them see the qualities in themselves. And, I'd like to say that we also have been pretty honest about where they're BSing themselves. And we call that a 2x4, and so if we hear somebody that is, really trying to have nothing but excuses for why they're doing what they're doing, I always ask permission, but I like to let them know that, it's not really working for them because we can hear what they're doing. And it's amazing how some people have got nothing but excuses and other people who are in far worse situations seem to do so well. I'm thinking about Kimmy. You've had a really tough year and you have been trying so hard to improve every aspect of your life. And I just want to give you just a moment of congratulations on that, because you have had just about every area of your life be disrupted in the last year. And, a lot like Jeannie or even Jody and Lionel, you look at it and it's really important that you give yourself a moment every now and then to congratulate yourself on being around, because Kimmy, there are an awful lot of people that would have had to put up with what you put up with and maybe not been able to do it. They would have been out of it and unable to cope. And so I want to give you, just a moment to be kind to yourself and go, I've done pretty well, pretty darn well, considering. And I think that's an important thing for us to do. Some of you will know that coping with stress is where we put our focus on a Sunday. And for 10 days now, as I think some of you know, I've had the most incredible bad air quality here because of all the forest fires everywhere from California up have been drifting all the way up into Canada, which is where I am. Now, I'm very grateful that I am not in the middle of a forest fire, don't get me wrong. And therefore, even though I had to stay inside, and if I went outside, I had to wear masks, and I wore 2 or 3 of them, and eye protection. But it was so beautiful. Yesterday, I got a telephone call from Benji. Benji called me, and it was so cute because we were chit-chatting for a couple of minutes, and I said, "Hey, are you walking?" And he said, "Yes, Mom, I am." And I said, "Okay, hold on a second."
I hear you.
And he said, "Why?" Or no, he didn't ask why. He wouldn't have done that. I said, "Hold on a second. I want to get my earbuds, and I want to get I put on my December hoodie that I keep close to me all the time. For those of you who have been part of December. And it's like I have to be wearing the right things when I walk with Benji." And I said, "Let's walk together." And he thought that was awesome. And we literally walked together for about half an hour. He walked longer than I did, obviously, but it was just amazing. Jody's saying, "I'm working on not slouching over too much. I'm having quite a challenge with straightening up as I walk." Yes. And remember the trick, I call it the Prince Philip trick, Jody. If you want to stand straight, put the palm of the back of your hand against your spine. It forces you to stand up. Right? Kimmy, I'm not 100% sure on that one. I'll wait for them to let me know. All right? And let their viewers know sometimes they say no, and then at the last minute they do it. Sometimes, it's amazing. It's always a very interesting thing. And sometimes I don't know until the last minute myself. So let's wait and see. But, it was so lovely just to not have an excuse. Because, I know what we were talking about. We were talking about air quality. And I said, "Hang on a second, honey, let me see what are my air qualities like today." And when I looked at it, it was green for the first time in about 2 weeks. And I said, "Okay, I'm getting my earbuds and my hoodie, and I'm going to walk with you." And it was just a magical thing. And you could tell by the way that Benji reacted. He really liked that. And he actually gave me a whole stack of compliments about how much, I've been doing to keep my physical self moving and what I'm putting into my body these days. And I said, well, it's all a work in progress, right? And I want to give a heads up to everybody that's been. One of the interesting things when we look at our different viewers, we're all in different stages. Some people are type 1 diabetic. Some people are type 2 diabetic. Some people are just trying to eat more healthily. And some people are just trying to work out whether they want to do that or not. And so all of us, as we grow, are teaching one another. And, I'm doing things today that quite honestly, a year ago, Jody would have told me about it and I'd be going, never dreaming that a year later I'd be doing that without thinking. I was looking at my morning smoothie, a couple of scoops of oatmeal or oats, a handful of blueberries and some almond milk. Go figure that one's out. I want to tell you, a year ago, if you told me I'd be drinking almond milk within the year, I would have said, yeah, right. Which planet are you on? Kimmy's saying, I need to work on my balance and strength in my legs. Yes. And so again, it's really important for you to think about that. What are you going to do? I started that, if you remember, Kimmy, I guess when I moved here, right? And one of the interesting things to me was that I damaged myself when I did all that going backwards and forwards when I was moving. You remember I was going there every day, packing up a carload and bringing a carload of stuff before the big move happened. And I did that for a solid month, up and down the stairs with boxes. And I now know I did major damage to my plantar fasciitis muscles and also to my Achilles. But luckily, and now recently I did something to my knee, my LCL, I think it is. But I keep going, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to help that? Jeannie's saying, I discovered that I have no jeans or many warm tops for the autumn or winter. York found several pairs of jeans and warm pajama bottoms. I need to purchase slacks right now. I have one. All right. So again, you may want to let the church know that you're looking for autumn clothes of this size, because I'm pretty certain your church will have people that will gladly send you some. And again, my question is, would your insurance cover that for you to, is there an allowance in the insurance for you to purchase your clothes? I hope so. Because you will need 4 seasons worth just to start us, right? How about this one? Happiness is the new rich. Inner peace is the new success. And health is the new wealth. Hi there, Nyasha. And then kindness is the new cool. And I've been amazed at, Nyasha, I was talking about you on a couple of the other broadcasts, but one of the things I was saying, one of the things that I've been really amazed at, and I'm talking a lot to other people about, is how we in North America just take it for granted all that we have. And, talking to you and hearing how little is available to you there in Tobago, really is an eye-opener for us all. We automatically go, well, stop drinking that and go and get yourself some Coke Zero, not realizing that maybe Coke Zero isn't in your country. And, well, don't do this, go to this, and not realizing that you can't get it. Oh, I'm glad you like the background. Thank you. What is it you like about it? Yeah, I think we are aware now, Nyasha, thanks to you, just how grateful we need to be. All right. Because without you in our lives, we would not have realized just, that the local store, I don't know how big your local store is, but, when we start to realize your local store has probably rice, potatoes, some vegetables, local vegetables, and then very basic things, sugar, salt, and that's it. So we walk into our local store and it's as big as a city block, and it has everything, and then some. So please, if you will, Nyasha, be patient with us to make sure that we can learn more from you about what life is like in a third world country today. And, without thinking, presume that you will be getting the support you need with your diabetes when you're not getting it. And by the way, if you find out that you cannot get a blood glucose tester, I certainly believe that we can order one up for you, and or have you order it up, and we'll contribute towards the cost of it, and then we can teach you how to use it. In fact, I would encourage you to learn how to use it on the internet, and once you learn how to use it and understand the principle, then we can get you one out of China that will not be an arm and a leg and 3 bodies, and you'll be able to get the replacement bits for it fairly cheaply. So, to me, this is like, it's a doable. And I want to tell you, Neasha, I don't know how I would keep check of my blood glucose if I didn't test myself every day. Well, Neasha's saying, if you came here, you wouldn't like it here. I was born here. Do you know something? I think you could be wrong on that one. Although I am very used to all the luxuries, remember, I grew up on a farm. Remember, I lived 17 years in Africa where, you couldn't get half the stuff you wanted either. And so I am a little bit more flexible in those things than some people, I guess. I would probably love it there because I'm sure the people are wonderful. Jody's saying, Neasha, it's impressive how you're trying to make the substitutions that you can and that you're doing such a great job. And Kimmy says, I have one blood tester, I think, but I don't know how she can get the strips. Yeah, I do. I know how she can get them fairly cheaply because I can order them, out of China, or get her to order them out of China directly. And, that literally, I can buy the whole package, the machine, the strips, and the pokey things, as I call them, lancet, for $25. And then after that, all you have to do is to buy the strips and the things. And that's also, only a couple of times a year. Right. So Neasha's saying we've got a group of people that get together when trying to eat better and do things. And she's saying, I'm seeing all those substitutions on the group. I like them, but I can't get them. Yes. And what I would encourage you to do is to say, okay, I can't get that, but what can I do? All right. Always work on what you can do. I thought your comment about sea grapes was brilliant, because there is something that you can get that we don't even know about, Neasha. And so keep thinking like that. That was a huge bonus point to you on that one. All right, now we are about to do the meditation. And how many of you are going, oh, good. So if you are listening to this, maybe while you're driving a car, please turn it off. Because what will happen is, as you do a meditation, I'm just going to see here, my resting heart rate at the moment is 57, but chances are my heart rate's going to drop even more while I do this meditation. And so I don't want you to be at risk if you're driving a car, or if you happen to be at work and operating machinery or something, really don't listen to this, listen to it later. Maybe when you want to go to bed or something. Just at a time when you can relax. Jeannie's saying her insurance does not cover new clothes. Really? So your clothes were not covered? That's weird. Interesting. Learn something every day. I'm sorry to hear that. So that's something we all need to be prepared, not scared. Check your insurance and see, in the case of a fire or a flood or something, are your clothes covered? That's a good question to ask when you go to renew it, or before. So we are about to do this meditation. Oh, it does cover the cost of new clothes. Sorry, I was a bit surprised about that, Jenny. Because normally a contents insurance includes clothes as well. So you're going to get a new fall wardrobe. Isn't that wonderful? And you'll actually be able to pack away your new summer wardrobe, however limited it is. You now have a summer wardrobe. Nyasha's saying, I'm only going to be here for half an hour and then you're going to eat dinner. I just came to sit in for a while. That's wonderful. Kimmy, the insurance on her house, her house burnt down? Well, her clothes burnt as well. And so now, Jeannie's busy trying to replace everything. I thought it was strange that her clothes weren't covered, but yeah, I don't know what sort of insurance everybody has. So we are going to do this meditation. And Jody, just a heads up, please, can you just keep an eye out and make sure that people understand that during the meditation, we will not be answering any comments that are not related to the meditation. Is everybody clear on that one? So if you have something to say about how you're feeling during the meditation, that's fine. Okay, Sandy, no problem at all. She's going to do the meditation at bedtime. She's having dinner right now. Eat well. Any bread left? The reason I'm asking Sandy if there's any bread left, she recently got a huge accomplishment ticked off her life skill, which is that she learned how to make sourdough, and it's looking so good. All right, so by the way, for those of you doing this with me, you don't have to close your eyes, but if you would like to, the intensity will be that much greater. And before we do that, here's another quote. The fragrance always stays on the hand that gives the rose. So think about that. When you give kindness, you will always keep some level of that for yourself. How many of you feel good when you do good things for other people? And so what I want you to do is to start by just rolling your shoulders, okay? And roll them back if you can. There you go. Just roll them back. I can actually feel my bones clicking. Can any of you? Just roll them back, all right? Now let's roll them forward, see how we do. It's more difficult for some reason. And it's more difficult for my left side, right side, your left. Can you see that? The right one is going up better than the left one. Okay. That's good. And then as we did once before, stretch right up and stretch your hands and stretch your fingers right out. And then just let them go down. By the way, another thing that I found is really interesting to do when you're lying in bed is actually do the breaststroke, right? Pretend you're swimming. Just do that now. Feel how many muscles you use. And, I'm thinking about some of my viewers who are, unable to get up and walk, but they can do this, right? They can use their arms, and therefore feel how many muscles you use during the breaststroke. Can you reverse it? That requires thought. Interesting though, right? And then just shake it out and let your arms drop down. Now, how about our heads? This is, I get a lot of popping noises when I do this. And by the way, if you do that, don't think you're dislocating your neck or something. It's just little air pockets that go, It's like you're popping little air bubbles, but just try very quietly, without any strain, you don't want to hurt yourself, to roll your neck. I can hear all my ligaments moving. Really strange sound, isn't it? Okay, let's reverse it. There you go. What's better? And now, Jody's saying, I sound like bubble wrap. Yeah, I know. That's why I thought I'd warn you before I did it, Jody, because, some people that might be quite frightening if they didn't know to expect that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of minutes and to go back into our lives. I'd like you to go back to the time when you were 5. And I'd like you to think about, where are you? When I said to you, go back to when you were 5, where were you? I immediately went back to the farm that I grew up on. And I loved that farm, by the way. And if I ever get to unpack all my pictures, I will bring out a picture of it. But the next question I would ask you is, when you were 5, living wherever you were, who was kind to you then? Think about that. Who was kind to you then? When you grew up on a farm, I didn't have many people, children of my own age or anything else to play with. And I can remember, Jody's saying, starting kindergarten, and I loved every moment of it. I remember the kind face of my teacher. It's funny you should mention that, Jody, because I was going to say I lived on a farm without many friends, and then I ended up going to kindergarten. Isn't that funny? And I can remember loving it there for the fact that there were so many children. And yes, the teachers were so kind. And they taught me so much, and I had such fun. I got to really have so much fun. And then I wonder, in your mind right now, if you can see that teacher or that person that was kind to you. Maybe some of you saw somebody else. But what I was going to say is, if you can see them in your mind, whether they are dead or alive today, doesn't matter. Just take a moment to thank them. Thank them for being kind. Because all these years later, you still remember it. And also tell them, all these years later, when I was asked to go back to myself as a 5-year-old, you are the person I thought of. And you were being kind. I think anybody would want to know that one. And you might want to ask them if they have a message for you of any sort. It's interesting. The teacher I just thanked just shook her head and said, "You're still into drama." But she said it with such love. It was so cute. And I went, mm-hmm. I can remember being so challenging, I think would be the word, because, the teacher would have us do plays and things. And, I really was and Jeannie always talks about her being a Virgo, and we're pretty picky people, the Virgos. And so, I would be on stage with my fellow 5-year-olds, And one of them would do something the teacher told us not to do. And I'd be correct. It's interesting. Jodie's saying in her memory, her teacher said she loved the plant I bought her on the first day that you went to school. Ah. And isn't that wonderful that all these years later, she remembers that? Act of kindness. And now I'd like you for a moment to think about being a teenager. Wow, there's a difference, isn't it? And where are you now? And who was kind to you? Bernice is saying in her memory when she went back to being 5, she was told to write lines and she wrote pages. The author in you. Right? And then Jeannie's saying, because of certain trauma, I have lost many memories. But remember being 7 years old, happy in school, having a few nice friends. Who was kind to you? And by the way, Jeannie, I love the fact that you could adapt. I can't remember 5, but I can remember 7. Well done. That is smart. Not that you blocked it going, well, I can't remember 5, and so I can't do this. You just went to the next place that you could remember. Good work, Jeannie. I love that. And so let's get some feedback. As a teenager, when I said you are now a teenager, what did you see? The funny thing is, I saw a coffee shop with a jukebox. Any of you remember jukeboxes, right? And it was, I can still see the espresso machine, and maybe that's why I'm still into lattes and things. It's interesting, isn't it? But I could just see that in my mind, and the music that was playing is just awesome. And Bernice is saying, one of my first year advisors, she believed me and helped me cope with my classmates and taught me to stay away from the bad drinking and smoking and drugs as a teenager. Great. Yes, one teacher believing in you as a teenager is a good thing. That is my second memory, funny enough, of a teacher, Mrs. Hobbs, who was my creative teacher. She did things, she taught art and skills like that. And I just remember her so well. And she also was the drama teacher, so I got to know her really well. Interesting that comes up in my history so much. Jodie's saying, I'm in a school lunchroom, looking at a table to sit at, and a very kind student named Marcy waved me over. We were best friends for many years, and she is still in my life. Well, Jodie, you might want to tell her about this exercise you did, and that she was the person you thought of when you went back in your mind to your teenage years. I'm certain she would love to hear that her act of kindness all those many years ago was what you remembered about being a teenager. And Bernice is saying, we were in the lab room and she sat me down and just talked to me. No one had ever done that. Made you special because you are. And Jeannie said, as a teenager, I was an excellent student, but one year I got all A's but was flunking sewing. To this day, I hate sewing. Who was kind to you when you were a teenager was the question. And the interesting thing is that we can choose to let that be the past. And I'm pretty certain that with the lack of clothing that you now have in your life, that maybe starting to sew again might not be a bad idea. And a new hobby that you might enjoy because it's so practical today. And let's go to 20 now. Let's say you're in your early 20s. Where are you? Well, I was in big trouble. Okay. And who was kind to you? And take a moment to thank them. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? In my early 20s, I'd moved away from England and I had already moved to Africa. And then, boy, my early 20s, I was really so busy. Yeah, I was traveling a lot and all sorts of things. And I think about who was kind to me in my early 20s. I can remember one guy who happened to be a lawyer. And he was sort of not that much older than I was, funny enough, but was already a lawyer. So he probably was 10 years older than I. Anyway, and the interesting thing was that I remember somebody did me a misjustice of some sort. And I happened to be in a group with the guys talking one day. And the next time I met up with the guys to talk to them, they were all sitting down and they're saying, "Oh, don't worry about that guy, Sal." And I said, "What? You know, that guy that was giving you a hard time?" And I said, "Oh, why?" He said, "We as a group went to go visit that person. They will not be bothering you again." I went, "Oh, okay, thank you." Wasn't that kind of them? Bernice is saying, my best friend Kay happened to pick what to do at college and get prepared for the entrance exam. Her family adopted me, to my mother's horror, because she forgets I asked to stay with her a week. And then when I got home, she screamed at me. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Kez is saying, hi, Kez. Always a pleasure to see you. Kez is saying, I remember as a teenager, a teacher named Mrs. V asking me, because she was sick of me saying that there was nothing good about myself regularly, and regularly asking, what 5 things did I like about myself? So she helped you learn that however you're feeling, you can always think of 5 good things if you really get forced to do it. The same as we can all right, do 5 acts of kindness every day if we choose to. Jeannie's saying in her early 20s, I moved out of my home and I was a waitress. All right, I was also away from home, yeah. And through college, I was a real hippie. Okay, but who was kind to you, Jeannie? That's the exercise. Who was it that was kind to you? And Jody is saying, I was 20 when my mum passed, and the kindness I am remembering is once again Marcy and her entire family. They helped me to process my grief and give me a reason to go on. I stayed with them day and night. Isn't that amazing? And by the way, should you choose to do this meditation again at any time, you do know that you could visit as many ages as you like. You could visit as many people as you like. And you can thank the people you forgot to thank at the time. And I would encourage you to do that. I will put at the bottom below, in the notes below where it says see more, I will put the exact spot where the meditation starts so you can pick up on it. And so now for just a second, you are who you are. You are in the present. You are growing emotionally. And you're a wonderful human being just the way you are. And doing the best you can every day. What did you do in the past week that was kind to you? And what do you want to do to be kinder to yourself this coming week? What have you done in the past week that was kind to you? And what is your plan for the coming week? I definitely know that getting my life into this area, this is my craft room, and it has, these cubies all around it, all over there as well. So lots of storage space, and everything is beginning to really get tidied up. There's still some bits on the thing here that I'm working on a little bit every day. But, at last I can sit here and feel comfortable. And that was a great kindness to myself, because before, I was sitting very uncomfortably and not well. And I love it in the morning now because I can come here with my coffee. And I can check my emails, and I can turn here, and I can do things on my planner, and I can have all my equipment next to me, and it works so well. And I am really proud of myself for getting it done and focusing enough that I could do it. And I didn't realize that these sliding blinds that I have would look that nice as a background. And I'm going, that's going to be awesome for the winter. And what do I plan to do to help myself this week? Actually, I did more than that now that I think about it. I actually was busy doing all sorts of things around my house, and I kept walking into rooms and going, hello, room. Where do you need a bit of focus this week? And that's my new thing that I do. I don't want to overwhelm. I just look at the room and I go, where would I need to do a little bit of focus to make you look a little bit happier? And it just brings me such joy to do that. It's a great kindness. I'm not overwhelming that I need to do everything. I just, this one little step will be good. And so in the coming week, I am back to maybe unpacking a box or two. But the big unpack and do this week will be. And how many of you know how much joy I will get when I have done that? You can imagine me going, I did it. Or not. So what is Jody saying? In the past week, I indulged in extra time listening to an audiobook. I needed that time to de-stress. I'd like to sleep better in the coming week as another kindness towards my self-care. Yes, Jody, you remember night before last, I got in a full 10 hours sleep, but I was exhausted. I'd only had 2 hours the night before. Yes, just saying that they all assisted me through my primary school days because my feet weren't as strong as now. So I happened to fall a lot, and my speech when I slurred. I had a rough childhood into young adulthood, yes, because young people can be so cruel, right? But I cannot change that. I am grateful for it, though. Yes, I'm grateful you survived it because we would never have met you. And, for that, we are very grateful and appreciate it. So now what I'd like you to do, if you will, is give yourself an imaginary big hug. You see, when you are kind to you, then your stress is released. And you are able to make better choices when you are less stressed. Samantha is saying, I passed my last year of college this week. I went in first year as a high school dropout, and I didn't pass with the 4.0. I spent a year keeping up, but I felt great to sleep well without exam anxiety. Oh, Samantha, you have every reason to be proud of yourself. You know that you did that much work to make sure that you got what you wanted for your life. That takes focus, and focus is not easy because focus requires that you don't have any excuses. Focus means you just do it. So we are very, very proud of you, honey. Thank you for letting us know. I don't know about anybody else, but just Samantha telling us that. Makes me feel, why do I feel so good about that? Sam, thank you. That brought tears to my eyes. And so what I ask you is, when you heard the words, what do you want to do to be kind to yourself this coming week? Did it feel strange, or did you go, yes, I need to ask myself that question every week and maybe every night? All right, Nasha, no problem. And we did a whole broadcast a couple of weeks back on me time. And one of the most precious moments I have now is when I crawl into bed. And I was talking to Benji about this. When I go to bed, I have my phone with me, and that is my hour of my brain. All right. And I do certain games to make sure that I'm keeping my brain activated. I'm doing different sorts of them. Some of them are creative things, some of them are more logical things, and some of them require quite a bit of thought. Now, not everybody would do that late at night, but to me, I find that is quite interesting because what follows it, once I've done that, I suddenly get this creative time. I'll put the phone down and I'll start to relax, and suddenly my mind's giving me answers and ideas that I hadn't had. And so I now know that, I keep the phone close because I'm going to be need to making a few notes as I do that. And I've also, really noticed that it's changed the way I sleep and the way I get up in the morning. And so my hope for you is that you can see just a little bit of time relaxing, just a little bit of time remembering how kind people were, and that kindness stayed with you a lifetime. And so I would like you, as an assignment, no exam, just an assignment, if you care to take it, is every day of this week, take a little bit of time to tell somebody in your life how much you appreciate their kindness. Do you think you could do that? Knowing that it will be a kindness to yourself as well. Because it's not a case of, oh, I am not, thank you, Jody. It's not a case of, oh, I'm not able to do that because, you can write to them on social media, you can phone them, you can do whatever you like. It doesn't take, if you really wanted to work on it, you could probably do 7 in half an hour. You could just let quick email to 7 people. So see how you do. See if you can do it. See how many you can do. Samantha saying, thanks, guys. Well, you should feel good, Mama Sal. I so appreciate being able to turn you and this wonderful family to churn, and have created for love and peace of mind in the chaos. You know something, Samantha? It's a two-way thing. It's so lonely sitting here talking to myself. Really. So thank you for being there. I appreciate it. And I know that you've got other things you can do with your time. And taking the time to let me know that is a great kindness. Thank you. And I would encourage you all, if you feel any of that sort of kindness, do remember to leave notes after the broadcast in the comments below so that people will be aware of what you got out of it and why they should listen to it. It would be a great support if you would be that kind. And what if your life is a little chaotic right now? And some of you still have a pretty chaotic life. What would a kind person advise that you do about it? Because what I found out is we are very quick to help other people be kind. We can say kind things to other people, but we forget to do the same for ourselves. Jeannie's saying we had friends who lost their only son and grandson in a terrible car accident December of last year. Visiting hours are in early October. We wrote a note to say we cannot go because of COVID. Big decision. Yes, you know something, Jeannie? I was saying to Benji yesterday, I need to walk with you, honey. It's been so long since I've talked to you in reality. And I was honest, Jeannie, as I'm certain you can imagine. And I said to him, Benji, with tears in my eyes, I know I will miss little baby Leah's baptism, and I will miss her first birthday more than likely. And the birthdays of the children, the twins and Juliana. And that's part of me is really sad. And then there's part of me that wonders if I will ever see them again. And, the other part of me goes, I am so grateful for the love that I have, the kindness that Benji and the family show me when you think about it, it is an incredible relationship with somebody who chose to add me to their family. It's just like, when you think about it, that's a pretty kind thing to do. And I know that it was because of the kindness I had shown them, but it isn't about that really. How many of you know that we can be kind to people and they never reciprocate at all? And that's okay as well. So when you're coping with feelings, how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling any better than you were when we started the broadcast? And if so, how easy was it to achieve? And I would need to ask you, Will you continue to have kindness as your focus this week? And will you be kind to yourself every day? And for me, I notice now that being kind to myself is eating better, differently. And even though I will still have the occasional treat, I had 2 little baby muffins with a tiny little bit of cream cheese icing on top last night. And they were so good. I paid the price this morning. My blood sugar was a bit higher, but it was so good. And coping with fear, because we all do every day have moments of coping with fears. I would ask you, what can you let go of this week as a kindness to yourself and just deal with the next step? That would be kind. Don't worry about the 65 million other steps you need to take. Just concentrate on the first one. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. And those of you coping with change, and many of you are, what do you want to change in your life to be kinder to yourself? What is it? And Jody left a quote on here, and it says, whenever there is a human need, there is an opportunity for kindness and to make a difference. And it can be as small as just writing to somebody and saying, hey, you know something? I was just thinking about you and how incredibly kind you were when you, whatever it is. And that's all you need to say. End of story. Don't even sign it or anything. Just tell them and leave. Yes, Bernice is saying the kindness is to stop being scared and just do it. And Samantha saying, I need to stop making excuses and get active. Yeah. Remember my one step at a time. This is overwhelming. Let me just build it one step at a time. And I hope now that you sort of get an idea of how exciting this could be when I finish, that you will enjoy it when I show you my next step. I wonder how far I'll get tomorrow. And how many of you, in terms of coping with new things, have done yourself the kindness of trying something new this week? Now we know that Sandy tried a new bread recipe. Now that is probably a risk as well as a kindness, but it looked wonderful. And this is something that part of life is that we take little risks. It is kind to do that to yourself. Don't always do things exactly the same way. Try something different. You might surprise yourself. Jody's saying, I'm working on changing my impatience with myself. That would be an incredible kindness. Yes, I agree. It's a bit of a double standard, Jody. I've called you out on it a number of times. The advice you would give me is not the advice you give yourself. And the advice you would give the viewers is not the advice you give yourself. You are very cruel to yourself, I think. Sometimes. You're getting better. I'm proud of you. And so I would challenge you to be kind and try something new this week, just for the heck of it. You don't have to be good at it. Yeah, you don't have to be good at it. You just have to try it. I will show you every week now when I shake that vanilla. Oh, who was it that tried the vanilla? Was it Sandy that made the vanilla as well? I think it was. So, she you remember we did that broadcast where we made vanilla essence extract? All right, and see, as soon as Sam said, I need to stop making excuses and get active, Sandy popped in and said, hey, me too, Sam. I'm working on it. Yeah, so why not work on it together? Yes, and Sandy made the vanilla yesterday. Was it easier than you thought? And you're going to have so much fun giving that away at Christmas. Have enough time. October, November, December. Yes, it takes 3 months. And Kez is saying, I need to spend less time on technology to clean my messy apartment, especially my table, so I can use it to do crafts, which I haven't done for 4 years. Kez, you know my trick, okay? Have a look at, are you sitting at that table now? Sandy's saying, yes, it was super easy. So Kez, are you sitting near that table now? Can you see it right now? Because that's what I do. You see, when I started sitting right here, what was it, a week ago, this place was a mess. You can't see the mess necessarily, but I could. All right. And I literally every day I look at it and I go, okay, what one thing can I put away now? And I'll take this light that I didn't put on today and I'll go, it needs to be in a place. It needs a home. Where is that home going to be? And then, I'll go and do something in the kitchen and I'll come back and I'll look at the space and I'll go, what is that doing on my table? That needs to go back to the kitchen, right? And then I'll put it with the things that are going back with the kitchen. And then I'll be really kind to myself, and I'll grab my water bottle and go, yeah, I'm drinking coffee, but 6 slugs of water will be very kind to my body. You see, and I just literally work my way around every day and it's nearly done. It's wonderful. Jeannie's saying, we're all tough on ourselves and it may be somebody else was hard on us much earlier. We have to relearn a better way. No, we don't have to. We can choose to. We don't have to. A lot of people will carry on beating up on themselves for the rest of their lives. And they don't have to change. My experience is those that want to be happy will. They won't have excuses anymore. Well, the reason I'm like this is because, no, who cares what happened? Sam, we're not going to put that up because I don't want your email to be public. But Jody can take a screenshot and we'll pass it on for you. If anybody needs it, anybody that's in the room right now. Can you do that, Jody? Is that okay? I'm not sure if technically you're okay with doing that today. Bernice is saying, I got a light up cup, Halloween themed, and I filled it with water and I'm enjoying drinking from it. Well done. Yeah, Jeannie's saying, I choose to. There you go. Well done. Yeah, Samantha, I'm glad that you understood why we're not going to release that as a comment. Okay. Jody's going to send it on. Thanks, Jody. We love you for all that you do, honey. And Kez is saying, yes, I see it's always, and it's near the sofa. Plus, I need to get rid of stuff. And to fit in storage units, my place is so small. Yes, you know something? Here's what I'd like you to think about, even if you've got a small space, all right? Look at this. I took 1 foot out of my room and filled it with storage, right? That's all that this is, 1 foot bookcases, all right? And I took another foot off that side and filled it with storage. And so it's not what can't you do, it's what can you do. And if you remember, this room, when you first saw it, was filled to over 5 foot of boxes. All right. And look at it now. All right. It's beginning to really feel like home here. And it's taken 7 months to get this far. And as I sit here right now, I'm looking at my art studio, which I thought would be one of the first places I would empty out, and it wasn't. It's the last one. No, second to last. I got a whole storage shed full of stuff. But, I'm looking at it and going, that's what my plan is. By the end of winter, as you are all here, I am going to be kind to myself and get that unpacked so I can feel that I can go into that room and make a mess and paint again. Because it's been nearly a year, quite honestly, since I've done any painting. Sandy's saying, I feel I'm always learning. I'm searching and trying different recipes until I get a perfect loaf. I'm enjoying my new pet project. Yes, well, you did give your pet a name, Hermione. And I want to tell you we were talking about you, Benji and I were talking about you because his mom decided to start making sourdough. But you know what she did? There is an incredible restaurant near them. And she managed to get, how about this one, Sandy? This one will make you drool. She managed to get some of the sourdough starter that restaurant has been growing for years. Can you believe it? Which is the best name ever? Oh, Hermione, you love it. Yeah, I thought it was a great thing. Well, it is a bit of wizardry, right? Would you agree, Sandy, that making sourdough bread requires a little bit of wizardry? You talk to the thing every day. I do. I talk to mine all the time. Are you going to be good today? Behave yourself. Yes, and she's making sourdough that Sandy and I would, and you too, Jody. And here's the next thing. I'm pretty sure by this time next week that Sandy will have tried making it in her bread maker. And by the way, Jody, I have tried making the dough in my my new food processor, and I'm going, really? That's all there is to it? And I don't know why it doesn't matter how that bread turns out, it just still tastes wonderful. And I haven't had a piece of bread in 2 days. I probably, I work hard at not throwing the bread away because I don't like to waste food anymore. But it is funny the things I have to do to make sure. I've started making, almost little toasty snacks. I'll probably be adding them to the bento boxes next week. So kindness is the best nourishment for humanity. Yeah, Jody's saying Nigel's got it covered. Nigel is the name of my ninja. Nigel the ninja. And so we will be doing more with him in the future. So I hope you have all enjoyed our little time together. I would remind you all, please, if there's one movie that you would be well done to take the time to view or review, make sure that you watch A Wonderful Day in the Neighborhood with Tom Hanks. Because you cannot watch that and not be a nicer person by the end of it, in my view. I don't care how nice you are now. It is impossible to watch that and not be a kinder person. Because there are going to be so many times during that movie where you just go, wow, I didn't know that about him. How did he answer that way? I want to tell you one of the things that I'm really looking forward to rewatching it for is to be able to stop it and replay exactly what he said. And that's part of my goal for this week. Jody's saying thank you for this Soul Sunday, Sal, and thank you everyone for being here and participating. Please hit the thumbs up button if you've enjoyed it, and we certainly have enjoyed having you here. Jody, thank you for all that you do. The broadcasts are always that much better for the beautiful quotes that you find. And I know you just don't find any old quote. I know that you actually look for quotes that speak to you and will speak to me. And I can feel that, when I go to check through the quotes that you've put in so that when I read them, they won't be totally foreign to me. It is amazing how I just look at them and I smile because it is so kind of you to care that much. And I do appreciate it. Jeannie saying, thanks for the broadcast. And Jeannie said, I mentioned one of my favorite movies, King of Hearts, starring Ellen Bates, a wonderful, poignant movie. You know something? I actually looked that one up after the last time you mentioned it. I haven't seen it yet, but thank you for mentioning it again. So this is Dear Mama Sal saying, remember kindness is the antidote to revenge. If ever you feel like a little revengeful this week, and it's possible, just remember, I need to just concentrate on the opposite and I'll be fine. So if you feel revenge, go, what can I do that is kind? Regardless of what this person has done to me, what can I do that is kind? And you will know you've really made it if you can be kind to the person who triggered that much reaction in you. And you will be a happier and better person for it. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, remember to look after one another, because that's what we're all about. But most of all, please, this is going to be a very difficult few weeks for all of us. The history of the world could change in the next few weeks, and I would say we all need to be really kind to ourselves and do what we can, not to get angry, not to get upset, just to know that the world is unfolding as apparently it should, even if we don't agree with it. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, be kind to one another, but most of all, be kind to you. You deserve it. Bye-bye for now.